Yoxatini just a cut Johan. Hutchenius wush kanach to the art yagi. A gagach to sa. Hechwasaku asat kukuni. Yewa atach the sheet su klingit stu yil tu. Yelta cut Johan. Ya hasu in your watan we Goldbelt Heritage Foundation, Alaska Heritage Institute, Yukon Native Language Center, Datati Nexsa Hayati, Yeltakatuha. Achtuasagu in Kachunigi, what Ginsawush Kanakach to the art, Yahayu Katangi da. Goshkiwe, we Yao Kui Yakuhi Shitka. Achwa ohan hatuasagu hayukatangi dati jituni yuk gosh atka de khityana disi gushakigi yakohi ka katsushit kak goshkiwe atka de khitisi kekha yagi yakohi naskiki khanach ka khatisi gosh natasahini Hedkadeen Hosakudak Yuki Sakshawekoa. Ye awe kekwak age as Hayukatangi dad there. Ye cookach to Steve. Ye awe Quashkakrinach immersion you do a sago. At Kashach Twashko you Yehosa Yekoa Yahayejini. Immersion where you katang away do ach aka. Katuch kuwati. Kashach toashko acha kail khidli koa. Ya hayukatangi dat ush kanach at the adiye. Achtuasagu kunachwe atuasagu achehawuti. Ye awe stika khatati klach kunach. Ya klech tak kanach. Kelkdeen kaik koslatu. Just kakwash sa. Wash kakwashahid. Wish kalnik. Kuyaw dahay kach ka kuchtlein kachtse. Awetso adayajak wane. Hechwasaku wasa gachtusa. Kashuk klaqei. Achua yehas awaji. Ha'idegurtishi, we artificial intelligence. We kashuktin yuchak kwatan gwashki we. Yewa haskachwo zachtua sagukoat Teddy Ruxpin a tucheyati we AI klaqei. Hechwasakua satkwane. Ya yagi we atlain adaye jagachtune we. Yedaduni at Kawuchin Yukagachti Tla Datatin Nersahayati a itr. Acho awe Hechasaku Gwashasai Kusti recordings Kach et Katishkiti Kayaaní a datawe ye hasjik one. Ye awecho ach Aaron Bean, Mikawa do Yukatangi. Kach to us a good Kashka, Wukakakon Ish has to Yukatangi Daki Jakone, Kashagoon. Ye awa Gwashiakutan, and Yaklahash Kakishi has to win Yukakutan. Ichasaku was at Kakone, Hakuksa Yachat Kakwati. Waldo Yach Kakwati Ya Ach Kusti. Gusu Kone, Gusu Waldo. Cash Yagachisiti. Kaiko ya Aktuasaku Wuchin Yajetune yes. What Hayus Atankadat Kagaki woos, just Hatkanai woos. Kakwa Akaya Ayah Ejit Kakwa Shahid. Hakwaswan Talins. Zoom team, Zoom Kach. Ushkanach to Kegach to the Atch. Yikecha, yitu, yikach, achtu, kleke, tekatuan. She to I guess to go yukiwatan, gook, akayik akwawus, kleka atadan. Okay. Now I gotta ask you a question. So I was I was retyping this thing. Let me show you what it is. It's really fun. This is how far I am. So I'm I'm only in the D's. I'm guessing these are all very short though. We'll see. But I was looking at this for descend. So sha ka dach. So we would write this as one word with a high tone A. Ye hasna'at kashat. There's one word in there that I want you to tell me how it works. Which word do you think I'm going to ask you? Yep. Kashat. What is it? How does it work? I thought it was pretty cool. I never seen it before. Not even a verb. It's not, I don't think well, I guess it's probably a verbal noun, but in a very unique form. So I guess for a hint, wait, if I'm not careful, get an answer. Okay. So let's go here and we're just going to look at some kush things in the dictionary. And working on a dictionary is so interesting. And also working on beginning X'éig is so interesting. I don't have sandpaper in the dictionary. It's like, how is that even possible? Anybody know the two words for sandpaper? They're not in this book written by this clown. See, now I don't know. There's two words. One's related to the old thing they used to use. But it is the old thing they used to use. What's paper? What's a file? I got file. Do I even have file in here?
File. X'éig.
I don't have file. I'm just going to shut it all down. Oh, there it is. Put them together. Paper goes first. There's the first one. Shame on me for not. I can't believe I don't have it. And then what did they used to use? That's the post-contact one. What's the pre-contact one?
Just rough stone, didn't they?
Dark skin?
Dark skin. How would you say it?
What is it?
Us at do.
Tus. Not at. Because that means some things.
Do.
Do.
Do. Who?
Do.
Ugu.
Do. Tus. Do. Okay. Now back to the questions. So we'll go down here. We're going to run into a bunch of cut things eventually. And we're just going to look for anything that is familiar. There's some sort of pattern like kashat. Kashatsikwa. No. Kashahiti. Like a bunch of these are like verbal adjectives and verbal nouns. Kashautshan. Kashkaku. Katsakatli, it's a compound. Katsakuwa looks like a squirrel, but it's a flying squirrel. Katsak. Katsak. Oh, this has K-A-L, noun, and then an underlined K, and that's our formula. Kash, sa, hatless. Okay? Kashtischa, dust. Kashtashk, burying basket. Kashtish. This one also matches the pattern. K-A-L, noun, underline K, shoeless. This is a trailing black currant. Kashtlachet, kashsak, bare, gloveless, mittenless, follows the pattern. Kashuchja, a drippy leak like pee. Kashuchshani, bladder. Kashuchja, a faster leak. Kashyatsi, somebody's steps. Kachei. And I guess there's one that's not on here. Kashtanak, which should be in here as well, which means penniless. I guess I pass it.
So Yanaka penniless?
Oh, well, here's kashtakak. I don't know if this one is different. Naked. Kashtagenach, kashtatli, kashtanak. So there's Dana right in the middle, right? So kash, noun, underline K. To be without that thing. It's an interesting pattern. I don't know if it works for everything or if there's just certain ones that like to be in there. There's about 4 of them in here. And I just knew some of them. And so as I was writing this down and going back to what we're looking at, they all are
Without it.
coming down the mountain
Without
with
something.
anything. Yes. Kashat, without something.
Mhm.
So that means they got nothing. I thought that was pretty cool.
Ooh.
Sounds like my hunting trips.
You ever hear like Janae or
Yeah, kashtanik. They got no job.
Mm.
Jobless. So it's just like something less. And so I think you end up with shoeless, hatless, mittenless, something less, right? And so I don't know if you could just put anything in there. That's a really good question. Could you say like kashkukak, cupless, kashashak, kashashk, spoonless? I don't know. It's interesting. Something to keep an eye out for.
Hune.
Ah,
Can you use a verbal noun ending with the underline K prohibitive marker as an adjective, or does using it as a verbal noun kind of suffice as an adjective?
oh, that's a good question. Like, so I don't know if you could, so you could say kashtanaqi. I don't know if you could do that. And so like I haven't seen enough of these in use. Like even this, like it's not even conjugated. They say they're coming down kashtan, kashat. They got nothing. And so it's this thing that goes like straight to this concept of without a thing. Right. And so I think you just use it. It almost functions, I think, as like a standalone state type of verb. So you could say kashish atukut. They just went out without their shoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't need to add like e kashdanak yeti.
Yeah,
Just say,
I think you
okay.
would just say it. Like, and I don't know how you would say, because I think you would say like achti, tesh, teshachji, or tesh. I don't like if you would say like I'm walking around without my shoes. I think you'd say you just conjugate the verb. Atyan chakut kashti. And then I think people would just understand, but I need to test some of these. I remember I was talking to Zeosh about these quite a while ago, and we're trying to like be curious about what we could figure out, but I don't think we ever tested them with anybody. Could you say crabless? No crab? I don't know. Probably. Any language stuff you're thinking about? Questions? Anything we can help you with?
Question about effective on I didn't write down everything else, I'm not sure, but I was looking at neek or neek and why it's disneek and not disneek. Why does it go plus? Yeah, like why does it go minus or why does it go minus I for the fourth person? And in perspective.
Where did you see it?
I think in the database,
Okay, let's go.
but I might be just confused. I thought it was all plus I and then minus.
So underneath.
Mhm.
Act. Okay,
But all the other ones are plus.
that can't be an act verb then. Because if it's an act verb, it shouldn't have a plus I imperfective. So I think it's a state verb.
Oh,
And then these, yes.
state.
And then I think there's also. So I was asking about this verb, and here's my theory, which I think was confirmed with X'éig asking Anachahash. The S version of this is you smell something. Like I smell spaghetti because I was cooking it a little while. But then to say, or so if you said, I would kind of translate that as I can smell skunk cabbage.
Hmm.
But if you say, I am sniffing for it. That's what I think the plus D does here. Is like you're not just smelling it, you're sniffing for it.
Mhm.
But as far as like all of these perfectives these are all plus I. But I wouldn't expect these to be unless it's a state verb. As far as I understand them, that's really the difference. If it has an imperfective, then you know that it's not a motion or an event verb. And if it has something other than an imperfective, then you know it's not a positional verb. So that narrows it down to state and act. And if it's plus I in the imperfective, then it should be a state verb. And if it's minus I in the imperfective, then it should be an act verb. That's how I understand them to go. But then I don't know enough. I guess we can look at examples in Nation's story and see what they have as well for smell. And then we can look in Lear as well.
Oh,
Right? So they have chodzenig and zenig. So see, so this is different too, though. Because, okay, now I think one is I think this is, I don't know. Okay, now I don't know. So if you say yachzenig, it smells like something. But if you say chodzenig, like I don't know. I think it needs to be field tested a little bit more because I know there is an S classifier version of this. And then I think your question also has to do with maybe the fourth person. So here's to sniff around, but that's different than to go, like, like a dog sometimes will go My dog went up on the hill just the other day. I was walking my dog and came back with something in her mouth, and she was running away so she could eat it, is what I was guessing. And it was a cinnamon roll. And so I took it and I shut it down. Okay, let's try one more source. And if you have thoughts on it, please share.
I didn't actually hear the initial question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, far away, but asking why the classifier changed from plus to minus I in the fourth person.
Geez.
So we'll go back and make sure that I'm not just going down a different rabbit hole and not answering the question. So here we say do isniqi. So this is a verbal noun. So isniqi could be the sense of smell, or kusniqi. And then ke nasniq, wudzaniq, zaniq, shashach isaniq, isaniq, zaniq, asaniq. So you have yach asaniq, asniq, akautzaniq, aktunach kautzaniq. It's very unclear to me. Okay, so here's sanik, smell. So I think there's probably a number of things going on here, and I'm going to come back and look at it to make sure. And then and that means she wanted to touch noses and sniff each other's noses. Okay, so let's go back and look at the thing, and I'm going to tell you my collection of theories on this. So saying from here, where it goes from sinik to dusnig. I think, okay, here's what I think is going on. I think there is a state verb, which is zinig, object, D plus S classifier, nig. That means for something to smell. It's giving off odors, it smells. Not chichan, it's different. It just means it's, I guess I would say fragrant. Whereas chichan has more to do with like having a strong, distinct odor, which doesn't always mean stinky. But if you, it's hard to think of saying chichan without potentially offending somebody. So there's one. You've got object, wudzanik. And I think we see plenty of examples of that. The second one is you have object, subject, S classifier, which is probably, I just think it needs to be tested more in terms of like, I think to be able to smell something, like a zero classifier teen, to be able to see it, right? So you say, ketchatin, I can see a dog. In this case, I think you could say, I can smell it. Then I do think you also probably have a D plus classifier, object, subject, which means to sniff for something. Like, for example, if you were walking in the fall time and your favorite berries were kachweig, and you could smell them, you might follow your nose to try and find where they are. Some people are good at finding the high bush cranberries that way. That's my sense with this. And so when you have, and in this case, even, and I think what's happening here is there's a mix of these verbs. I think one of them is an act verb and one of them is a state verb. Because I would, if this is sanig, I would expect dudzinig. I like, okay, the du pushes it plus D, I get it, but it shouldn't also push it minus I. Like we should get it right there, sure. And we get it right there. So I do think this is the case where you end up with, but I don't know if these should all be Kayaaní. And so maybe there's a number of things that could be going on here. They could have been saying A's and someone was hearing I's and just made a little mistake right there. Or it could be mixing those two up. Anybody got any thoughts? I'll tell you next year. I'm just kidding. But that's what I would think. I would think that the thing we've got going on here, I do think we have a state verb, X'éig, for something to smell or someone. I'm starting, people are able to smell me, I guess. I don't know.
I would think smelling it, like here, we smell it, you smell, that's an act, that's something you're doing.
Mhm.
But the thing that is smelling, like the skunk cabbage is smelling, that's a state.
Right.
So it's kind of both.
Yeah, right. So there is this sanik, which is just smell something. It's right there, smell it. But I wonder if there's another one which would be isnik. Like if that could be a command to like sniff around for it.
Well, what would you tell a hunting dog to do? Look for the scent.
Right. And I think that would be the plus D version. That's what I think. Because if you say ausinich and outzinich, I think the first one is like they smelled it, like it was right there, and they smelled it like that. Like that could be an act for sure. But if you say outzinich, I think it would be like they smelled around for it, I guess. Kasi kancho outzinich. Watchman Kately. The cop's dog was smelling for weed and explosives. That's interesting. And then, yeah, I don't know. And so with stuff like this, I think we're going to have to mix some, because then you've got yach asanir, which would be, it smells like this to them, but then you could also say yach zinir. It smells like that. So if you said something smells like something, Tokane ha kiyach zinir we kuch ikachwin. Maybe. They're kind of stinky, aren't they? The chocolate lily. What does it smell like to you? You ever just smell the flower?
Kayaaní achwasigo. Achwasigo.
I think it smells like an old diaper. So
What's the difference between giving it a smell over and smelling it over?
oh, a kaudzanig and a snik. So this would be there okay, so this tells me it's a 0 and this is a repetitive form. So they regularly smell it. And a kaudzanig would be like, I guess if you get like if you got like a puppy or a baby, I think it's kind of instinct to just sniff it all over the place. And you're just programming that into your brain. And I think it probably releases a bunch of fun chemicals for people.
And then the one under it?
Oh. A sneak up. That is not okay. I think that has the suffix there, ak, usually means for something to be removed. So I don't know why that would be there. And maybe there's a missile, because, well, I guess now we got to get into we got to go to the OG one. So hold on a second.
Maybe it's the smelling is over instead of is smelling it over.
Yeah, because these are retyped from these handwritten notes. And so there could be, they were just written too close together, like who knows. And so now we get into the tablets. This is only the advanced students go to the tablets. So this is what we're looking at here. So going from this to that. So a Kayaaní is no, it says right there, is smelling it over.
Mhm.
I don't know. Sense the odor of it.
Oh no, that one talks about spaghetti there. Kwashtunak kewuzinik.
Yeah, or what? And then there was a related, I guess, question here, which let me, I think this is what I was looking at. Oh, I see. If you look at fragrance, you have atayi, it's fragrance filled the whole house. So this came up. So it's interesting that you're asking this because, like, here's another one of these confluence of language moments. So, kik aya jita kaushihit kliatge adat away with chat GPT. Kawa akawe a iau shatu a day you tangia we can get kinach. So a friend of mine is working on teaching a bunch of stuff to chat GPT just to see how it's going. And there's a couple of us that are sort of messing around with AI and seeing what it can do. My goal is to have a year from now a sort of multi-linked dictionary, sort of like vehevehe.org, the Hawaiian one we're looking at, where you look up a word and then you can click on every single word that's in there, and it's just interlinked. I don't know what to call it. And then to have a verb prefix assembler. So you're going to be able to enter a verb theme and then tell it the object, subject, and mode, and it'll pop it out for you. But it'll be very mechanical, like selecting these options. And we're going to mess around with it and see what we can come up with. So that's year one goals, is to have those two things for not just Tlingit, but for Hutkil and for Smelgich. Within a year after that, we're hoping to have one that you could just sort of somewhat talk to. So it's not really conversational, but you could say, hey, dictionary, how do you say the boat is going along? Or how do you say, so you'll be able to like kind of ask it full sentences and it's going to sort of give you these answers. And then you'll be able to do the same thing with the Kashuk conjugator. So you say, what's the second person subject, third person object future of saying it to, right? Or something like that. And then I'll give you some options. And then the 5-year goal is that it's able to be conversational with you. So we'll see how it all goes. But anyways, so someone was showing me the sentence and asking me how it works. And well, actually not just how it works, but saying, is Chat GPT doing a good job analyzing how it works? And the answer was not quite, but it's not like super far off. And do we understand how everything works in this sentence? It's I bet you we can get this stuff, or maybe the stuff on the left and right of it might be a little tricky.
Cut to cut. It's like the entire thing.
Yeah, and then do we know
Like
inside the
The
house?
house through, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so all inside the house. That's what that's saying. All throughout the house. That's what that part does. Now we've got shikawaya and atsayi. So the one on the left is a noun, but I don't think it's a noun that is. I don't know if it's documented anywhere. I don't think it is. I think it's an undocumented noun. Well, I guess it's not because it's written down, but it's not written down in its noun form as far as like a definition. Anybody recognize what it might be? Or know a similar word? Oh, it's the day of big questions.
Looks like it's
From,
seal.
well, saw, can't have that. But yeah, that's a good analogy. But anybody here? It's ever hear that?
like to fill it. No.
It is a verb, but it's usually more of like an exclamation.
Oh, is
Because if you walked in my house and I was just cooking spaghetti, you better say shit's or you just bounce, fool. I'm just kidding. It means it smells good. That's what it means. It smells good. But I always knew it just as shit's and I never knew it as I do think it's a verb. It'd be very unusual to say but you could probably say that. Maybe ishit's it sounds very flirty. But it's I would say it's fragrance, but it's a good smell. I would think, because shit'a means smells good. So that's it in its noun form. And then that gets us to shikawa, which is, it's so much fun for me to go through this dictionary and to retype it, because I've used it for 30 years now. But now I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that word was in there. And this is like twice. So it's so cool. I'm so glad they did all of this work. So we're going to go down to ya, and we're going to look for, what was it? Shaka. Shaka 0 ya. State verb. So it's an object right there. To fill of odor, to pervade, to spread through. We got a verb for that. Fun stuff. Any other questions? Thoughts? We got to conjugate some verbs. Close this thing out with conjugations. Here's our verb. Has an object, has a subject, 0 classifier. It has sa built in there. If we go to something, the sa will drop. You can say echoach, but that means I heard you shuffling around. I heard the noises of you moving. That's how I would think of it. But isachoach would be I heard your voice. I heard you speaking. So with the sa here, that means you heard someone talking or singing. It's usually what you're saying. When we look up here, we do see that there's an object, sa, the perfective marker, subject. We're going to have a plus I classifier, so it's going to be ya. This is a 0 conjugation, close, so it's going to be short and high. Ach. How would I say? I heard them with my ear. I heard them talking, I guess. Sachwa'ach. Right? So this is long right there. Sachwa'ach. I heard them all. Put a hus on it.
Sachwa'ach.
Has-sachwa'ach. I heard you. I heard your voice. Is-sachwa'ach. I heard you all. Yi-sachwa'ach. I heard someone.
Why would it be ye instead of ye?
Because this is the object pronoun. So the object pronoun of y'all.
Oh, yep.
Always.
Okay. Brain fart.
I heard someone. I heard people. We like the contracted version. Short.
Kosachwa'ach.
Is-sachwa'ach. Yeah, what?
The uncontracted version.
Ah. You could say ka-sachwa'ach. But the sort of guideline here is you use k unless there's already a k on there, or if there's a weather verb. So you can say kuwake, and the people are good, but I would recommend saying kayake. I heard something, so the sa will drop. Asa? Atkhwa'ach. Atkhwa'ach. Yeah.
Short.
Atkhwa'ach. Yeah, oh, what?
What's the sa drop?
You can say atsachwa'ach. What's that?
I'm just wondering why the sa drops.
Because if it's something, then it's probably a noise. I think you could say atsachwa'ach, but it sounds like something is making, it sounds like a creepy thing that's talking. But I guess like it could be, because I think when you say sachwa'ach, it's associated with people. You wouldn't say it about a dog or a cat, or I guess if it's your best friend, that's a cat, maybe, sure, whatever. But probably not.
I'm surprised there isn't a whole separate verb for that. I mean, we hardly ever see these little pre-verb things just drop out for one specific instance.
Well, this is the verb to say, to hear something. Like, you know, I heard this, like I heard a noise. Like, does, on its own, it sounds kind of, like if it's nighttime and you said that, I'd probably be scared. Like, okay, do you all investigate the bumps in the night, or do you just let them go?
Let him go.
I let them go.
No way I'm going out there. It's the first person to get killed in the horror movies.
That's right. Okay, I was in my grandma's house one time, and it was just her and I. It's nighttime, and it sounded like someone took out the silverware drawer and just dropped it on the ground. It was so loud. And I said, "What was that?" She goes, "I don't know." I was like, "Well, I'll go see. I love you." So I was like, in that case, got to protect grandma. But I didn't see anything. Okay. We heard them talking or singing.
Satu'ach.
I need the perfective marker in there. Sautua'ach. Sautua, yautua, kautua. We heard them all.
Hasautuach.
Sautua'ach. We heard you. Sautua'ach. We heard you all.
Ye sautuach.
Ye sautua'ach. So we're pattern building here, and like what we're doing is like we're changing the subject and we're running through all the objects, right? So there is a certain, like if you do this, and these are there's a book that I started writing that I'll finish maybe by the time I come back, where it has a whole bunch of these exercises. You could do them, and the answers are in the end of the chapter, right? And that's what this all comes from. So if we know that ye sautua ach is we heard y'all's voices, how would I say we defeated you all? We all defeated you all.
Lock, okay?
It would change to dlach. So dlach is na conjugation. So in the perfective, it will be long and low.
Isau to it lock.
But there's no sa.
Iu to it lock.
E yao to it dlach.
Iau to it lock.
E yao to it dlach. As yao to it dlach. E yao to it dlach. Right? So just like thinking about not only just getting these patterns in this particular verb, but seeing like this pattern can be, once we sort of understand these, it's complicated, yes, but we are changing this single sound, right? So like we said it to you all. Yi yao tu se ha. Well, that in that case, the classifier changed as well. Okay. We heard someone.
Sautua.
Say the first part.
Kusautua.
Kusautua. Yeah, we heard something. The sa is going to drop.
At utua ach.
Atwatua. Yeah, you heard them. We should be, so maybe before we did tying, it was a little while ago, and it was kiyaduch. Single sound switch from kia to siach. Yeah, kia sia, kia sia, yidlach, right? You
Could
heard.
you explain that again?
Yes. Okay, so if you have a thematic here, perfective, I and ya, you will get iya, and what will change will be this single consonant right here. So for example, you tried, kia ah. You succeeded, yidlach. You heard them, siya ach. So siya, kia, yia, but the iya is going to be our pattern that we're looking at here. And it does get a little bit confusing because you're going to go from siya to sayi. That's going to be the plural, sayi. And the singular is going to be siya. Well, in this case, it'll be siya all the way down. But that is the pattern. And so like, but what happens here, so basically the thematic is going to combine its vowel with the perfective and the first person singular marker to become E. They all just combine to be a long, low E. Well, everything's low in the prefix. So all that's left here is the consonant and the classifier with E right in between them. Every single time though, every single time. If you get a 0 classifier here, and if you have a thematic, that's what you're gonna have.
Well, I can't wait to see what you all heard them
Oh.
is.
It'll be Sayeey. And this is so yidlach, yayidlach, yayi. Everybody got get that second Y in. You heard them all. Hasiach. Yeah, you heard me.
Kutsia ach.
Hatsiach. You heard us.
Asiach.
Asiach. You heard someone.
Siach.
Hasiach. You heard something. The sa is going to drop. It's a 0 conjugation. So we should expect iya.
Iach.
At iach. Now, you all heard the singular there voice. I told you like 45 seconds ago. If I spelled it, it'd be S-A-Y-E-E-Y.
Sayiach.
Sayiach. So you got to get the ye. There's a little wiggle there. Do not lose that little wiggle. It's not sayiach. It's sayiach. That's how you do that. But this is the most common pattern in the perfective universe. So positive or negative, you're still going to get Y-E-E-Y. That's our most consistent person. Y'all just stay the same. Y'all the same. Y'all the same. So sayiach. You all heard them all.
Hasayiach.
Hasayiach. Yeah, or what? And what if I said you all defeated them all?
Hasyayidlach.
Hasyayidlach. Yeah, or what? Yeah, or what? Yeah, or what? Y'all heard me.
Cut. Sayiach.
Hasayiach. Feel like it's got to be in the next great thing it raps.
I don't know why, but
Sounds like just a good like rap lyric. Y'all heard me. You all heard us.
Hasayiach.
Hasayiach. Yeah, or what? Y'all heard someone.
Sayiach.
Hasayiach. And when you cut the sa off of here, you just get Y-E-E-Y. Y'all heard something? Atiyach. Yeah, or what? So now with the third person, we get a variable. There's a little variable here. When you have, you're going to have sa, y, 0, ya. And you will have sewa. Sewa, ewa. Those are the only two that will do that. Is sa and cha. I don't know why. You just have to accept it and remember it. Say, oh yeah, because you say yur'ewatan. So if we went from ewa and changed the to an S, you'd have it. But okay, but you also have to have a third person. So this is they heard them, so it has to start with the letter A.
Hasewaach.
Yeah, oh wow. Asewa'ach.
How does that contract when the thematic is an A?
It's well, this so you would say, for example, you'd have a yawadla, right? A yawa, a kawa. That is what we always expect in this case.
Right.
But it's sa and cha that for some reason changed to say and a. But they're the only two that do it.
I don't have it written down, but I was looking up verbs that have like aha as like the thematic.
Mhm.
How would you put that one into a third person subject and object? How do you add an A to one that already has?
A yawa, a kawa.
Okay.
It always goes before the thematic prefix.
Does the A go long if there's already an A there?
The only A that would go long would be right here if you had like a kawa. So what you're having there is ka, y, 0, which is nothing, and then ya. That's what causes the double A to pop up. But it has to be right before the wa part.
Okay, I think I found it on I would say A because the A is already built in. But
I would say it should be
I would say
I would say.
yeah.
So because in that case, for non-zero classifiers, we won't have the double A.
Oh,
It'll always be just single. Because it's when the double A is being caused by the A here, this, and that, they'll combine to become a double
Oh, okay.
A kawa, right? And so that's just what happens is they just go long. That makes sense. They all heard them all.
Sasewa.
Asasewa. They heard me. Chatsewa, but the falls off. Chatsewa. They heard us. Asewa. They heard you.
Isewa'ach.
Sewa. They heard y'all.
Siwa.
Whoops, sewa. They heard someone. Sewa. They heard something. So we're gonna have the sa goes away, which means we should just have at w. I think. Oh, it's uwa. That's right. Good call. Because it's a 0, so it's uwa instead of woo. Okay. Now we're going to pluralize these. So just remember, hus is not an object pronoun. Keep that in your mind. It has to come first. They all heard me.
Has X'éig.
They all heard us.
Siwa. Siwa.
They all heard you.
Has isewa'ach.
They all heard you all. They all heard someone.
Has kusewa'ach.
They all heard something.
Has at wa'ach.
Now we're going to switch the subject to third person. This is a 0 classifier, so it's not going to change. There's just be do in there. They were heard. So if we think back to the second person plural or the first person plural, we had sao tua. We changed the T to a D, and we've got
So dua.
sao dua. They all were heard.
Hasidua.
Hasadua. I was heard. My voice. Well, technically, these are all like my voice was heard, your voice was heard. We were heard.
Hasadwa'ach.
Hasadua. Oops. There they all are. So this is like I've never taken people this far. Like not in the past, not since I've shifted to the color scheme. Like, as far as like, so this one is not going to have all the parts, it's not going to have all the colors, but this will be different because we now have a non-zero classifier. So what we're going to see is this is qa, so it should be long and low, which it is. The classifier is S, so it's going to be si. And now, but this is going to change the patterns, right? And then there'll be another one after this. So we got to do these ones, I guess, kind of fast. But what we had was hua, going way back, hua. So now we're going to have underline X, W, A, classifier. That's how it's going to work.
Quasatin.
Quasatin. I saw them all. Hasquasatin. That's going all over the place. I saw you. Yes, but it has to be irsatin. So this is the one where there is a vowel there and a vowel there and no vowel in between. So you have to say irsa, irsa, or irse, sorry, irse. Same with this one. I saw you all.
Satin.
Irsatin. I saw someone.
Quasatin.
Irsatin. I saw something. Atquasatin. And this, when now we also haven't done much with the chush or the sh. So the sh as the object is going to push the classifier to go plus d. That's what this is showing you. I saw myself.
Quasatin.
Quadratin.
Shwadzatin.
Quadratin.
Yeah, oh what? Shwadzatin. We saw them.
Satin.
We saw them all.
Satin.
Haswatusatin. We saw you.
Utusatin.
Utusatin. For inland speakers, imtusatin. We saw y'all.
Utustin.
Utusatin. We saw someone.
Quadratin.
Utusatin. And it does go long right there. Utusatin. We saw something.
Utusatin.
Satin.
Utusatin. We saw ourselves. Shwatudzatin. You saw them.
Usatin.
So what's going to happen? So this is red.
Satin.
Yes, this vowel will just drop. You'll get yisatin. You saw them all.
Hasyasatin.
Hasyasatin. You saw me.
Quadratin.
Hatyasatin. You saw us.
Hi.
Hayasatin. You saw someone.
Usatin. Quasatin.
Huyasatin. You saw something.
Satin.
Hatyasatin. You saw yourself.
Shidzatin.
Shidzatin. Yeah, oh what? You all saw them. So this is, you're going to get Y-E-E-Y right here.
Isatin.
Yisatin. You all saw them all. Husky-satin. Y'all saw me. Yisatin. Y'all saw us.
Aisatin.
Yisatin. Y'all saw someone.
Satin.
Huyisatin.
Satin. Y'all saw something. Yisatin. Y'all saw yourselves.
Shidsatin.
Shidzatin. They saw them.
Satin.
Ausatin. Ausatin. They all saw them all.
Asausatin.
Hasausatin. They saw me.
Katausatin.
Hatwusatin. Hatwusatin. So that goes to, it converts to chat. They saw us. It's a vowel ending, so it's going to cause a
Hausatin.
hausatin or hamsatin. They all saw you.
Usatin.
Usatin. They all saw you all.
Hasusatin.
Us, you, or usatin. Usatin. They saw someone. Usatin. Yeah, well. They saw something.
Atwusatin.
Atwusatin. They saw themselves. Shwudzatin. They all saw me.
Hatwusatin.
You gotta get a hus on there though.
Oh, hus.
Hus.
Hatwusatin.
Askhatwusatin. Yeah, well. They all saw us. Us house.
Ausatin.
They all saw you all.
Usatin.
Us you sitting. Oops, us you sitting.
Oh, you said you all.
I did say you all. Good job.
Is that right?
They all saw someone.
Kusatin.
Haskusatin.
Oh, hus.
They all saw something. Hasatwusatin. They all saw. There is something wrong over there. Okay. They all saw themselves.
Hus.
Hashwudzatin.
Yeah, away. They were. I gotta fix all. I'm not worried about the English. Don't matter. They were seen. Now these will all be z. The d will push it plus all non-zero classifiers plus d every time.
Ududzatin.
Or dudzatin. They all were seen. Haswadudzatin. I was seen.
Hatwududzatin.
Hatwadudzatin. We were seen. It's going to contract. That vowel is going to drop right there.
Ududzatin.
Aududzatin. You were seen. Ududzatin. Y'all were seen. Ududzatin. Someone was seen.
Ududzatin.
Ududzatin. Something was seen.
Ududzatin.
Atwadudzatin. So in the next 5 minutes, we're going to do all the all the futures. So the future, though, even though we didn't get to it fully, I think it is the easiest mode to get because it's incredibly predictable. So the one thing, there's a lot of information on here. Let's just, the classifier must always be minus I. Positive, negative, future doesn't matter. It will always be minus I. It always has g, positive or negative. So both the positive and negative of the future, the prefix is exactly the same. Exactly the same, because nothing, it never goes plus I. So you never have another version of it. It is always, always, always the same. The positive is always long and high, unless it's invariable. The negative always wants to be long and low. Open, close, none of that matter. It always wants to be long and high, long and low in the negative. But if there's no high version or no low version, then it'll just stay high. So that's what makes it the most predictable. And then you have basically three types of prefixes. You have a zero classifier, you have a classifier with a vowel, and you have a classifier without a vowel. Those are your three options. But the one thing I do need to do on this chart, I haven't gotten this far in a long time, is I need to change the order of these ones. And I will tell you why. So in this case, this is the order these should be in. So you have kuka, kukashla, or kukasha, or kukasa, and then kukas, kukash, kukash. So this is the prefix, is kuka. That's what the prefix is. So if you're doing a first person future, do kuka. If the word before it ends with a vowel, it will contract it to this one. That's the contracted form for both this one and this one and this one. So I think when I first built this slideshow, which was a long time ago, I didn't have all of these rules down. But what really helped was teaching this stuff in Tesla, because those speakers were correcting me as I was going through these examples. And that's what helped me figure out what it was and what was causing that. The other thing to remember with the third person, there's a couple of just sort of general rules here. T and I have a similar rule. And here's the rule. These are short. T is short, I is short. But if there is no vowel in the classifier, they will be long. Okay, so that is just a constant. So you see there's no classifier here, so it has to be long. Gachtu and kaqi. And over here, if you have only a consonant, like shkaqishtin, you'll take care of yourself. You'll watch yourself. Those will be long. The third person also has a special rule for the future. It will be kukra, kukwa, or kukwash, kukwas, kukwash, or kukwash. But if there is a vowel in the classifier, you'll have gukh. Gukhsa, gukhsha, gukhsha. That's all the rules. That's all the rules for the future. Now, this does have like a whole bunch of examples. When you add a thematic prefix, you lose these optional uncontracted versions. They all must be contracted now because it adds a vowel before it. And when you go through, you'll see, so we did this one. We did X'éig. It was months ago, maybe. But all of these will be gukh, shla, X'éig, long. So these, I'll put this entire slideshow up so you can click through it at your leisure. We're on slide 239, and it goes up to 300 and, is that 88, 68? I can't see it. Thoughts or questions? The pattern building stuff, I think you have to supplement with reading, speaking, listening. But like, I do think there is a value to going through and predicting all of these and just drilling them over and over and over. You will start to see the patterns. And it's a combination, I think, of memorizing those patterns and then also seeing what's going on inside so that you can understand what kinds of components you're switching out. Because for X'éig, so much of it comes down to these wheels that spin, right? The spinning wheel of the pronouns. And as you change them, what happens when the things start to interact? It's complex, but it's not infinite. There's a set number of them, and you start to sort of ingest those patterns. And so continuing to think about that, I would say, look at how those things go and how you're able to predict them. Because then what you'll see is that will lead you into all these other modes so that you can see, like when you go back to the future and you say k, it's k because you have k and k, which gets you k all the time. And that's why you say k with spaghetti. K. Let me eat that spaghetti. That's it as far as I can take you right now. But y'all are wonderful and brilliant.
Good, sheesh.
Oh.
Reminder to everyone that I will be hanging out on Zoom tomorrow if anybody wants to join me, and we can look at verbs or pretend like we have our dialogues written or whatever else anybody wants to do.
Ow.
Yeah.
What time?
9 o'clock.
They cut now, kuda, schoonage and a achju.
We will talk on Wednesday, though, for options on how to stay connected. There'll be some language gathering opportunities in Sitka and Whitehorse and Carcross. And I'll share some of that information. I'll be on the Discord. I get notifications. Sometimes I forget to look at it, but that's a good place to ask questions. It's a good place to set up sort of additional dialogues. We'll talk, and there the Zoom will be, the thing's always there. It actually died for a while, but the link just went to nowhere. I don't know what happened. Okay, you go, Juan. Looking forward to dialogues on Wednesday. It was a fun year.
Could someone throw the link to Discord in the chat? I had it once upon a long time ago, and I have no idea where it is. And maybe I'll actually use it over the summer, at least once or twice.
Download
Download the app.
No, I don't need more apps. I need fewer apps. I spend too much time on the apps I already have.
Let's see.
I'd drop those and use this.
You know, that drill was so useful. And I felt seduced into like, oh my God, I think I'm doing it, you know? And it's the kind of thing that if we had a language lab, you know, it would be kind of cool to just kind of go duk, 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 duk.
Yeah, I mean the slideshow will be there in a PDF.
That means I have to do it.
Well,
Well, then come hang out with me on Tuesdays and we can go through and we can pretend like we understand verbs.
You scared me already, Beth.
I said pretend. I'm good at pretending.
you say
Gunashi.
How about we practice our dialogue and pretend we can speak it correctly?
That works too.
next thing you know, you'll know it. You wish to steen you on.
Fake it till you make it.
Right.
Gonna teach.
Kecha.
Goodness,
Ja,
geez,
again.
Sheesh.
Yes, sheesh, Johan.
Aslan gonna sheesh.